We're two sisters who believe that the purpose of life is to enjoy, create, and have fun. We believe that as humans, we can have anything we want, and things are always working out for us. Experience has taught us that the path to getting everything we want begins with ease. If you believe in miracles and happily ever after, or even if you just want to, then this is the podcast for you. Hi there, I'm Kay Lorraine.
And I'm Adria Shea.
And welcome back to Attract It with Ease. We're happy to be with you this week. As normal, Adria, let's start out with some gratitude. Tell me what you're thankful for today and why.
I am grateful for delicious Mexican food, which I love. I may have said that one before. Hopefully I haven't.
I don't think so, but it's worth mentioning more than once.
Exactly. Yes, I've had some really good food lately. I'm grateful for wool socks. It's been getting a little bit chilly here, and I just love wool socks. And I'm grateful for my job because I enjoy it, and right now I'm able to work from home, which has been amazing.
That is amazing. And you and I we're on very much the same.
Are we on the same wavelength?
We are, because two of your three things were two of my three things.
Are you serious? That's funny.
Yeah. So one of mine was food. It wasn't specifically Mexican, but I did have Mexican takeout tonight, which is one of the things I'm grateful for. I'm so grateful for takeout.
Me too. I've got some waiting for when we're done. Mexican takeout.
You should have eaten. It's not as good when it gets cold. You better warm that up. But I'm so grateful for takeout food because I don't eat it very often, but it makes my life easier especially when I have a full schedule. So that's something I'm for sure grateful for. And then you mentioned the wool socks, which I don't know if I have any wool socks. I have in the past, but I had warm clothes on there because it's getting cold here too. And I get chilly at work. So I'm so grateful to have like cute fashion scarves and things that I can wear that help keep me warm. So yes. We're definitely on the same page there. But you don't even know this yet. The third thing I was going to mention that I'm grateful for is we are going to be house sitting starting tomorrow for 3 weeks.
Wow.
For Dan, my fiance, for his boss, and they live in this big, huge, giant home, which is complete opposite of our tiny house. And I'm going to be able to sit up in bed. I'm going to be able to take a shower without having to go into his work. I'm going to be able to just step outside and use a hot tub anytime. I can do laundry without going to the laundromat. So I'm going to have 3 weeks that will feel like an amazing, magical vacation. And I'm thankful for that too.
I love it. Yeah, that does sound like a nice vacation.
It should be good. So last week, do you remember what we talked about last week?
We talked about how to the number of ways that we could manifest.
Yeah, exactly. We talked about getting rid of the control freak side of us, yes, and just letting go of the details, right? Like just letting things happen naturally and trusting the universe or God or whatever it is that you believe in to find the absolute best, easiest way to bring that about for you. And that's what we talked about last week. This week, Adria, I want to kind of shift gears a little bit. And do you know the saying, if you don't have anything nice to say, can you finish that for me?
Don't say anything at all. Yes.
I think Mom told us that. I think Mom told us.
Kids.
Yeah. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. That's how the phrase goes. Well, I'm going to actually change that on our listeners today. And I'm going to say that's not how the phrase should go. I'm going to switch it up and say, if you don't have anything nice to say, lie. I know, that sounds ridiculous, right? So first bit of advice you might not want to listen to, right? No, let me explain it a little bit. Today, I want to talk about what many people would refer to as flipping the script. Taking the things that we say that work against us and against the things we're trying to accomplish, against our goals and hold us back, and turning it around, finding a way to make our words work for us instead of against us. So I want to jump into that a little bit and talk about some of the phrases or things that each of us say, and some of them might be the same, some of them are going to be different, but I'll give you some examples of the things that I say, even currently, even though this is something I'm constantly working on. I'm not perfect.
Not perfect.
Not yet. I'm not quite there.
So close, though. You're so close.
I'm working on it. But I still mess up and I still say things. And it's not even just what you say, it actually comes down to what you believe at your core. And that's why I say, okay, well, if you don't have anything nice to say, lie, because it starts out with you don't have to actually believe what you're saying. But the more that you say something, the more you start to believe it. And then you'll start seeing evidence that supports the things that you say. And when you start to say it more often, and then you start to see evidence of it, then you'll really start to believe it. And then it will begin to become your truth and it will become a reality. So let's talk through some of these things. First of all, I think I've mentioned this before, but this is something I actually feel bad about saying because it doesn't fit me, but it's a way that I have felt many times in my life and many times frequently. I often say that I'm the fat girl. And the reason I feel bad about that is I'm really not fat, right? I'm not fat.
Overweight. That's crazy.
But I'm uncomfortable in my size. I'm about the biggest I've ever been. And for me, I feel really big. And so, yes, I'm not a fat girl. Most people would look at me and be like, "Oh my gosh, she's crazy. I wish I looked like her." But for me, I'm really uncomfortable. But my body and the way that I want to look and the way that I want to feel is definitely something that I'm working on and trying to attract. So every time I say that or even think that, I'm actually reaffirming that. I'm telling myself, like from deep within, like, no, you're fat. Nothing's changing, nothing's improving, nothing's getting better. You're fat. And so it's like, on the one hand, I want to be fit and lean and feel good and not be self-conscious. But here I keep putting this statement out into the universe that keeps me stuck where I am. So that's one thing. And that's something that I'm working on. And I will tell you, Dan is amazing because every time I say something along that lines, he gets upset and he corrects me. And he's really good at redirecting me on that particular piece. But that is something that I put out into the universe constantly, even though I'm working on it. You know, I'll see a photo of myself and I don't like the way that I look. And even if I don't say out loud, I think in my mind, oh, I look so big. I don't like the way that I look. Oh, look at my, muffin top in those jeans that used to fit me or whatever. And truthfully, I should be trying to turn it around. So, Adria, I'm going to put you on the spot, but can you tell me something that I could say instead of that when I start thinking or saying those kinds of things? What could I say instead?
Well, let me say first that it reminds me of something I heard the other day that I loved. And that was that we shouldn't say we want to lose weight because that implies that we're going to find it again at some point.
That's so true.
And so,
and I probably will. I'm totally not manifesting that. No. Okay.
What I heard was that a better way to phrase that is, I'm going to release this weight. I have weight I'm going to release. Because then you're just letting it go, hopefully easily, and it's never coming back. So I didn't invent that, but I love it, and I'm using it.
We're stealing that. Okay. That's a good one. I've never heard that before. Okay.
I would like to see you flip that and think that, because you're lean, but you're strong and you're powerful and your body can do so many things. I don't know if you can do cartwheels and handstands, but you can definitely run up a flight of stairs. Is that too much to ask for you to say something positive about your body instead?
No, you're absolutely right. And for everything that I could complain about in regards to my physical appearance or my body, there's probably 1,000 things that I should be grateful for, whether it's, just that I can, like you said, go up and down a flight of stairs, that I'm not in pain, that I have all of my teeth and all of my appendages and I have hair and I, there's so many things. I have good skin,
Yes.
Dad would say I have nice eyebrows. We've talked about that. I have skinny ankles. We've talked about that. So you're right. It should be, I should look for the positives. For example, if I see a photo of myself and I think, ugh, I hate the way that I look, I should actually try and move my thought from the things I'm noticing and focusing on and try and focus on something positive in the photo as well. And I think we both have had this experience, probably all of our listeners, unless you're like 18 listening to this, you probably have the experience of looking at old pictures that you maybe didn't like before. And now you like wish that you looked like that because you're like, oh my gosh, I looked so young. I was so thin. I was glowing. Look how great I looked in that bathing suit back then. If only I could go back to that. So I'm sure there will be a day, and it could just be when I'm old and wrinkled, that I look back at today and be like, oh my gosh, why did I not like that photo? I wish that that's what I looked like. So I appreciate that. Being grateful in the moment for what is instead of focusing on what isn't. So that's one example. That's something I'm constantly working on, is that piece. I'm going to list some others I think most of our listeners, and probably you, will probably relate to. You probably have said it and probably still say it from time to time. So let's try another one. How about, I can't afford it?
Yes.
So,
yes, unfortunately,
when we say I can't afford it, Dan would probably say, well, I can't. My bank account is X. I literally can't afford it. And that's fine. But going back to, when you don't have anything nice to say, lie. So how could we lie about not being able to afford something?
I'm looking forward to being able to buy that.
Okay, that's a start. That's moving in a positive direction. It's not very strong.
No, it's not. It doesn't sound very
You can flat out lie and say, I can afford that, but I don't need that. Or I can afford it. Or you could just say that. I could afford it. But, and I don't remember where I read this. I'm almost positive I read it. Oftentimes, it's not that you truly can't afford something. It's that in your mind, it's not budgeted in. So your money isn't allocated towards that.
Right.
Meaning, well, I couldn't pay my rent if I bought that. Or I
Right.
couldn't make my car payment if I went and did that. And so in our mind, that means we can't afford it. But truthfully, we do have the money. We just are choosing not to spend it on that. So I think even that is a positive way to look at things and say, more so, I'm choosing not to spend my money that way. I can afford it, but I'm choosing not to. By reaffirming that you can afford things, by believing that you have the money, it helps attract more money, and it's focusing on what you have versus what you don't have. So another version of that is what I earlier said. It's not in my budget. It's not in my budget. Sorry, it's not in my budget. How could we flip that around?
That's something that I can design a budget for. I don't know. I like the idea of saying, if there's something I want and I feel that I can't afford it, I like the idea, if I could be cognizant enough to do it, of saying, I have everything that I need. Because it's true, I do have everything that I need. And it's these materialistic wants that I haven't yet taken ownership of yet.
Absolutely. I think that's great. And it goes back to focusing on the positive. And I think that's a strong statement to say, I have everything I need. I think the missing piece maybe is that still to me attracts some lack, in the sense of, I don't need anything else. And you don't need anything, but it almost is like, universe, don't bring me anything else. I'm good.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm satisfied.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I like that statement. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I love the idea of, I have everything that I need. But I feel like coming up with ways to make it sound like maybe not right now, but in the future. Here's an example. And I know poor Dan, I use him as my bad examples all the time. And I wonder sometimes, is he going to listen to these podcast episodes? Am I ever going to have to eat my words and have him go, I can't believe you said that about me? Or is he just not even going to listen and not know? I guess we'll
He
find
better
out.
listen.
But one thing that is a common, I would say, daily conversation that we have is every morning we wake up and he says, good morning. How'd you sleep? That's every morning. And then I say how I sleep, which I usually say, oh, I slept really well. How did you sleep? And then guess what he says?
Awful. I didn't get enough sleep.
Pretty much. It's some version of that. Like, oh, I slept terrible. And then he says, I never sleep well. That's what he reaffirms for himself. I never sleep well. I never sleep well. So we have this reoccurring conversation where I go, why do you say that? Why do you put that out there? Like, you never sleep well. And he goes, because I haven't. I don't sleep well. And it's like, that's his truth, right? But the more that he says that, it will remain his truth. Nothing's going to change. Sure, maybe in the past he has slept poorly, but does he want to continue to sleep poorly in the future? Does he want that to be his experience every night? That's what I ask him. And it's not what he wants. He says, no, I would love to sleep well. I'd love to sleep like you do. I'd love to have a great night's sleep. And then I say, well, why don't you say that? And, sometimes he says, because it's a lie. And I go, well, then don't lie. Just say, in the past, I have always slept poorly, but now I sleep better. It's just it's acknowledging, okay, it is what it is. But beginning today, I'm changing that. And it's whatever the words are, whatever makes sense. But it's starting, even if you don't believe it, it's starting with things are going to be different. Things are different. Things are changing. Things are in progress. It's on its way to me. I love that idea.
I love that too. Yeah.
It's on its way to me. In the past, I haven't been able to afford to do that. But like you said, I'm looking forward to being able to do that soon. It's on its way to me, It maybe hasn't been in my budget in the past, but it soon will be. You know what? I don't feel like that's how I want to spend my money right now, but one day I will. It's just little. I know that this is semantics when we're talking about words, because it all kind of essentially means the same thing, but it's the emotion and the thought that goes behind those things. And the more that you can reaffirm that things are positive and they're moving in a positive direction and they're going to continue to move in a positive direction, the more your mind and your body starts to believe that. And I actually posted this on our Instagram the other day, I think, but the universe does not work off of what you want and don't want. It doesn't differentiate between negative and positive. It just is. It's always there. It's always going to return what you put out. And it's not sitting there thinking about it like, I wonder if this is what she wants. I wonder if this is what she meant. It's more like, okay, well, she's putting out the negative, so that must be what she wants. I'm giving her more negative, right? There's just no thought behind it. It's just like a magnet. It just attracts its match. It attracts, it attracts, it attracts. So if we want something to change, and I'll say this again and again, and I am going to give credit to my friend Heather, who is the person who says this all the time, and I stole it from her. So thank you, Heather. I will give you credit. She says nothing changes until something changes. And I say it all the time. And I'm like, thank you, Mr. Obvious. Nothing changes until something changes. But it's true. And that comes down to our words. Until we start changing our words, our experience is not going to change. Even if we make a vision board and put all these pretty pictures on it, and we're like, this is what I'm attracting. If everything that we're thinking and saying goes against that, those things are never going to come into our reality. That nothing's going to change until something changes. Let me give you a couple other ones. Okay, I used to say, I never win anything. I never win anything. I'm not lucky. And then here's another version of that. That's just my luck. People say, anything bad. How does that saying go? Murphy's Law. That's what I'm thinking of. Murphy's Law. Oh, Murphy's Law. Something can go wrong at will. We have these phrases and these things that we say, nuts, that's just my luck. That's just what I get. That's what I deserve, whatever. That's just how it is. That's my life. We say these things and they're not true. And I used to say, I never win anything. I used to say that. And the funny thing is, when I was, I don't know, around 12, I don't know if you remember this, I won a bicycle from a drawing at the grocery store. I just happened to enter my name in a drawing box up at the customer service desk, and they called and I won, and I was shocked. And then Dad bought the bike from me because he wanted it.
Oh, that's nice. He didn't just come and share it.
Yeah, he made me $50 or something for this bike. But anyway, I one day as an adult acknowledged that fact. I went from saying I never win anything to, well, I won something once. And then I would tell my story of winning a bike. And then over time, I've decided I'm going to change that story. I'm going to flip that script. I'm going to turn it around and say, no, it's not that I never win anything. I am a winner. I did win something. I'm a winner. I'm a winner. And the funny thing is that I haven't focused on this phrase much in years, but probably, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years ago when I was living in Vegas, I was super active in the Yelp community. I was a Yelp elite, if people know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
And we would have these private events that were for Yelp elite, and they would do all of these giveaways. And some of them were so elite and private that even not all of the elites could go. They would pick 10 people out of the elite squad that could go. And so sometimes it would be these gifts that you could win. Sometimes it would be tickets to events. But I went through a year, maybe a year and a half, where I literally won everything, to the point that the other Yelp elites, and if any of you are listening to this, you probably will be like, yes, she's absolutely right. And we all thought everything was rigged because she won tickets to every event. She won every prize. She got every giveaway. And a lot of them had more than one winner, but it was just it was a given that Kayla was going to win. But here's the funny thing. When you think of the power of the mind, I'm thinking I'm going to win. I'm thinking I'm a winner. And they're all thinking I'm going to win. They're adding this energy to I don't know, shouldn't even try it. Kayla's going to win it, so they're working against themselves. And I wasn't necessarily feeling I'm going to win this. I'm going to win this because obviously I can't control a particular drawing, but if I just have the attitude of I'm a winner, I'm a winner, I'm a winner, and I just am relaxed about it, I'm at ease, I let it go, I don't worry, and the rest of them are sitting around why even bother? Kayla's gonna win this. It was crazy. I won so much stuff. And so it was a shift in my life of just taking that one phrase of I never win anything and turning it into I'm a winner. And even today, I believe I'm a winner. I haven't entered many drawings in the last few years. I haven't been in those kinds of situations, but I still believe that I'm a winner. Adrienne, tell me something you can think of that you say or even think or believe about yourself that's a thought that holds you back.
I often say to you, I'm worried about such and such. I don't always catch myself. Sometimes I catch myself, but you always catch me. And challenge me to flip that around.
So something about, I'm worried about this happening. I'm worried that this won't work out or won't come together. It's kind of just the idea of worry.
Yeah. And it's not even necessarily a big worry. It's I'm worried I'll be late to this thing, or I'm worried that so-and-so is going to be upset with me about this, or I'm worried that whatever thing I'm hoping for is not going to happen. So I'm already worried about not happening type thing.
So when those things come up and I remind you that that's ridiculous, what do I say? What do I tell you to say instead?
Flip the script.
Okay. But which is true. I often say flip the script.
Usually you challenge me to say it differently.
I do. Yep.
And I don't always know what to say. So I generally say something like, I don't need to worry about this because I know that the universe is taking care of it for me.
That is almost verbatim what you usually say. And then I always say, things are always working out for you. Things are always working out for you. Things are always working out for us. Everything is always working out for us. I say that all the time. I'm a freaking broken record. We almost named the podcast Things Are Always Working Out for Us because I believe that so strongly. Adria believes that. And we have found so much power in those words. And guess what, guys? It feels good. That's something we haven't even talked about yet, is that when you choose the positive thought instead of the negative thought, it feels good, even if you're lying. Like, it makes you laugh because you know you're lying. You know, like, I just totally said something that was not true, but it feels good. It feels good to think that, to even believe that things can be different, to believe that they can change. I'm trying to think of some other things. People maybe think like, I'm not a good runner. I'm not a good singer.
Yes.
I'm not very
horrible cook
creative.
or
I'm
something along
terrible
those
at
lines.
remembering names. That, like, I'm trying to think of like just common things. I'm too old for that. Or even I feel old, you know, as as we age and our bodies start not feeling the same. Even just putting things as absolutes. So saying, I always this, I always do that. I never do this. I never do that. Sometimes that could be in a positive light, but usually we use those in negatives. Like,
absolutely.
I'm always running behind. I'm always 10 minutes late, or trying to just think of some examples, but these are all phrases and things that we say that we actually usually truly believe, which is why we say it. But we need to start paying attention to when we do say those. And number one, try and turn it around in the moment. Try and catch yourself when you say or think one of these things. Flip it around and think of the opposite. Like, try and do it right then and there if you can. But it's also having an awareness of how often we do it and how we're programmed to focus on the negative instead of the positive. And there might be something where you feel like, I absolutely just 100% can't change that belief. I promise you can if you work on it. But even just shifting your thinking, like you were talking about, if I'm thinking I'm the fat girl, and shifting my thinking, not to saying that I'm the skinny girl, but shifting my thinking to what am I grateful for in relation to my body? You know, that even there is raising my vibration and focusing on gratitude and putting things in a positive light. So I don't know if you have any other examples that you want to share. I feel like we've kind of explained what flipping the script is.
Yeah.
The concept of, if you don't have anything nice to say, lie. It's literally fake it till you make it. That's the whole concept. Like, you may not be there yet, but the more that you own that lie, the more you'll start to believe it and find evidence of it. Just like me believing I never won anything. As soon as I acknowledged, well, I did win something, now I had some evidence. And so that helped in my belief. And then by saying, no, I am a winner, I started winning things. And then as I win things, I start to believe, oh my gosh, I really am a winner. That's actually true. I totally won something, right? And then you would just attract more and you attract more and you attract more. And it can work in every aspect. I'm trying to just think of a few other examples. I've said, my hair won't grow. I've said, I don't know, I'm too tired. I don't know. I feel like a lot of the things that I have said in my past have been in relation to my financial state. And I think most of us would love to improve our financial position in life. Like, that's just almost on everybody's radar. And so why in the world, if that's our goal, is to have more money, have more expendable income, to be debt-free, to have the ability to pay our bills and then some, why in the world would we say anything that would be the opposite of that or would attract the opposite of that? But yet we don't think anything of it. And we just make those comments and those statements all the time. So this brings us to our action item for this week. And Adria, do you want to share what the assignment is from this episode? If you need help, I'll help you out.
I was going to say, I hope I get it right. I think that the assignment is identify a phrase that you frequently say that's negative and come up with a list of 10 ways to turn that around.
You're pretty close.
Don't put me in charge of homework.
You can tell that Adria is not prepped. I keep putting her on the spot. It's come up with 10 things that you say that hold you back. 10 different things.
Yes. Okay.
And then flip each of those around. So it could be that you say, I can't afford it. It could be that you say, I'm too tired. It could be that you say, I'm not a good singer. It could be that you say, I always have bad luck. It's just my luck. It could be that you say, I'm too old, or I'm too young, or I don't have enough experience, or I have to. Oh, here's one that Dan says all the time. He often says he believes sometimes that success for a person has to happen the same way it's happened for the majority. So, for example, like with his photography career, he feels often that he has to grow his Instagram following, and he has to have this in place, and he has to have his website a certain way, and he has to, and I remind him all the time, yeah, those things have been proven to work for other people. I'm not saying that that's not the way to do it, but I am saying that's not the only way to do it. And I'm also saying that if you believe that you have to do all of these things before you are successful, then yes, that's true. If you say those things, I have to do 1, 2, 3, 4 in this order in order to have success, then that is your truth. But if you just believe, no, I can attract it. I can bring it about in whatever way. Going back to last week, letting go of the how. If you start speaking that way and just expect that result, you're going to attract that. And you don't have to do it the same way everyone else does. So it's just opening your mind to the positive and turning everything around, and stop saying the crap that's holding you back. Get out of your own way, people.
Yes, I love it.
All right. So come up with 10 things that you say or think or believe. Maybe you don't verbalize these things about yourself that hold you back. And then write down the opposite. Flip it around, flip the script, lie. Come up with your new story, and then put that into action.
The writing it down is important too, because that makes it a little more concrete to actually write the revised statement down.
Absolutely. And the great thing is with the workbook, all of these pieces and thoughts are going to be in one place. And so it's not just the action of doing it, but now you're physically going to have something that you can refer back to and be reminded, oh, that's right. I was going to stop saying that. I should work on that. Awesome. Okay. So with that, as a reminder, you can download the workbook off of our website, attractitwithease.com. It's for the first 10 episodes. The first 10 episodes are our Jumpstart module. They're designed to help you kick off manifesting all the things that you desire. They're a series, so download all 10 episodes, get the workbook for free off of our website. You can just go there and download it. And Adria, why don't you tell them about our giveaway? Remind them.
We would encourage everyone to give us some reviews and feedback on the podcast, and we're going to be drawing a name every week of people that have reviewed the podcast and sending you, my sound just changed. It's really weird. We're going to choose someone every week and send that person a custom-made bracelet with their theme word of the year. So that's 52 that we'll be sending out this year.
That's right. 52 winners. So start thinking, I'm a winner, and maybe you'll get picked.
That's right. Be the lucky one.
Leave us a review, good or bad. We want to hear from you. You can send us podcast suggestions, questions, feedback through our website. And we look forward to talking to you next week. Have a good one. Thank you, Adria.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.